Hi everyone and welcome. Today I have a re-upload of an old video that I made maybe a year ago that I had on my first YouTube channel. So I have taken that video. It was a live stream that I did on Facebook, I believe. And this is one of my most watched videos that I just wanted to put it up because it has been a really good resource for a lot of people. Many people that ask me, like, I don't really know how to just, allow my cravings, etc. I usually throw them the link to this video, but I wanted to move them to this channel where all of this stuff is going to be more relevant and so that I can have it all in one place. So I'm going to reprocess a lot of my old videos, all that are relevant to this sort of topic, and I'm going to put them up here. So this video, not eating sugar is easy, is what it used to be called. I haven't decided what I'm going to call it yet, so I don't dare say anything. I might call it the same thing, but YouTube might pick up on it and won't take it down if I do, so I might modify it a little bit. Yeah, anyway, the quality of the audio isn't great, I noticed, but anyway, the content I think is great. And as I said, it's one of my most watched videos with regards to quitting sugar. So if you have any doubts about how to go about not eating sugar and just be with your cravings and that whole sort of thing with emotional eating, I think you should be watching this video. And, let me know what you think about it. Give me some comments, share the video, give it some thumbs up. If it's of any use to you, I might re-record a new one, but I think the advice I'm giving in this video is good and solid, so I see no need to do that at this point. But the only need would be because of the quality of the video and the sound. But there you have it. Enjoy, and I will see you again very soon. Okay, so hello, welcome again. It's another evening here in New Zealand where I am, and today I'm going to talk about how not eating sugar is easy, but what's not easy is what is happening when we choose to not respond to our cravings. So first of all, not eating sugar is easier than eating sugar. You just don't pick up the food, you just do not put it in your mouth. It actually logically makes sense. You do not have to consume any energy if you choose not to eat it. So it's easier to not eat it. Now, why is it that we still cannot resist eating these foods when we have a craving? Why is it so hard to do? What is it that makes us respond to these cravings? So I want you to ask yourself this question. Imagine that you are sitting somewhere and you have your favorite treat right in front of you, and you're going to start hearing all this chatter going on in your brain about why you should have it and how good it is and a little bit won't hurt, and all these thoughts are going to try to convince you that it's a really good idea to have your favorite treat and why it's a good idea, and so on. So for me, what it would look like is probably I would have a tub of Ben & Jerry's cookie dough ice cream right in front of me, and I would sit there. And then I would decide to not listen to all these voices, because they would just tell me that you know how creamy it is, how good it is, and you haven't had this in a long time. This ice cream is really expensive, so of course you should eat it when you have the chance. All of that brain chatter would come up when I'm sitting there and I'm looking at my favorite treat. Hi Carmel, how are you? Nice of you to join. Let's see if anyone else is tuning in soon. So I was just explaining what I would do if I was sitting somewhere and I had my favorite treat right in front of me. So just ask yourself this question. Imagine that you have your favorite treat right in front of you. You hear all this brain chatter going on, and which is trying to convince you to eat this food. That is a really, really good idea. So what would happen if you just don't respond to this craving? What would you feel like? So for me, I would sit there, I would choose to not listen to the chatter, and I would say, no, I'm not going to have it, I won't have it. And what would happen is that I would get a knot in my belly, and I would feel very frustrated, and it's just this tenseness, and it doesn't feel good at all. It's really, really frustrating because I have it right in front of me, and still I'm not allowed to eating it. So what would happen is that I would have all these other thoughts coming up now. Why can't you have it? Everyone else can eat ice cream. This is just something that is here today. You're not going to have it tomorrow, so it's fine to have it today. You can just have a few spoons, and all this bullshit literally going on in my head. And that's what's going to happen. And this is exactly what it is like when we are resisting a craving. And that is what most people are doing when they are trying to not eat sugar. We resist the cravings. And I can tell you that that approach will never ever work. Because what is happening, if you think that you can't have it, you will feel very deprived, feel like life is really unfair, and you might even almost build up some sort of resentment towards your decision to not have it, just because it's so unfair. Everyone else can have it, and they don't suffer the way that you do. And I don't know what your brain will come up with, but my brain is pretty good at coming up with all of these excuses that life is meant to be fun, and we need to enjoy life. And to enjoy life, apparently you need to have Ben & Jerry's ice cream. Who doesn't know that? Yeah. So that's what it feels like when you're resisting something. And now when we're doing this, we're actually in really deep water, because if we at this point give in, which most of us probably will do, we are going to build up a new neural pathway in our brain. And this neural pathway is going to give us even more relief and satisfaction than the initial one. So I'm just going to recap a little bit if you didn't see my Facebook Live that I had yesterday, which where I explained a little bit about how this works. I'm just going to give you the short version today. So a neural pathway in the brain is a connection between neurons in the brain, and it often consists of a bunch of neurons that would fire together. So I gave you this example yesterday of you see the cake, you get a craving, and you eat the cake. And those three events always appear together. Or I think I gave you the example of whenever you're folding laundry, you're usually singing, because you're folding laundry on autopilot, so you start doing something else to keep yourself busy, and you like singing. So that's just what's going to happen. Now, someone is sleeping in the room next to where you're folding laundry, so you don't really want to make a lot of noise, so you're not going to sing. So you're folding that laundry, and you're going to get an urge to sing, because these neurons are usually firing together. So this is almost like having a craving, but obviously we don't have cravings for singing, but we do get an urge to sing, because this is a learned behavior that we just do. They belong together. So this is a neural pathway. It's a learned behavior that you have practiced many times. The more times you have practiced it, and the greater the reward, the stronger this neural pathway is going to be. So this new neural pathway that you will build up when you are resisting having the ice cream and then you give in is going to be stronger, because there are going to be more components to it. So from the beginning you had see the cake, get a craving, eat the cake. That's your original neural pathway. And that gives you quite a lot of cravings. Now you have see the cake, get the craving, resist the cake, feel really uncomfortable, feeling anxious, then eat the cake, and you get massive relief. So you can see how we're just reinforcing this behavior even more when we're resisting it and then giving in. because now we have two different neural pathways that both lead to eating the cake, and which the new one is even stronger than the past one, because now you have taught your brain as well that when you're feeling anxious or when you're uncomfortable or whenever you have negative feelings, eating the cake will give you relief. And this is dangerous because this is leading you down on the path of emotional eating. So now it's just not cravings that are coming up when you see the cake. You will also have cravings that will pop up whenever you're feeling down or having a negative emotion. And most of us have some sort of uncomfortable emotion daily. I would be surprised if you never feel them. Then I think you're kind of suppressing them, because we all have them. Life is up and down, and that's just what it is. So if we then give in and eat cake every time we are feeling sad or anxious or whatever, we are going to end up eating a lot of cake, basically. So this overeating also, I want to mention this because some of you might have, or many people are usually trying to quit sugar as a way of losing weight. So I think that the rebound that we get when we stop dieting is probably to a large degree about this, the extra neural pathway that we have built up in our brain, the resistance, and then the intense relief when we actually finally eat it. So I don't say that that's the whole reason behind it, but I think that is a big part of it. So now I want to explore the difference between resisting a craving and allowing a craving, because this is the key. You cannot stop having cravings by resisting them. When you resist them, when you have the thoughts that I'm not going to eat it, I'm not going to eat it, I'm definitely not going to eat that cake, and you feel frustrated and all those kind of feelings, that is resisting. So whenever you feel tension in your body, I feel like life is not fair or whatever, you are for sure resisting your cravings. Now, allowing a craving is more peaceful. You can sit there and you just pretty much watch your thoughts, what's coming up. Ben and Jerry's ice cream, I would like some of that. That's really, really good. And I'm like, okay, brain, I hear you. That's fine. You can want that. So I'm just accepting that I have those thoughts, and I'm just letting them be there without actually doing something about it. And this is key. It's not easy to do. It's something that you will have to practice over and over again. It's a skill. So, but once you get it, it's actually really easy to do. You just have to get to that stage. So every time you have a craving, just pay attention to what's going on in your brain, because it's really important that you know what thought triggers you have, what thoughts are coming up, what sentences in your head are there to trigger you to start eating. When you recognize those sentences, because you will have, many of them will be the same sentences every time pretty much. For me, it's I have found that this part is quite difficult, but it pretty much boils down to me just having a thought that I want something. And it's usually not very specific that I want this type of food or that, or sugar. I want something is probably the thought that I have when I get my cravings. And this thought will get me to go out into the kitchen and start looking in the cupboard for something to eat. And I know that I probably want the sugar, but I will just eat something because just eating on its own is also a relief. It will take me away from that restlessness that I'm feeling when my cravings are usually coming up. So now when I've identified my thought, you will have a bunch of them. It won't just be one, but let's just use this thought for now. As soon as I hear myself think that, if I'm just trying to be a bit aware and conscious of what's going on, as soon as I feel, I'm going to go to the kitchen and look, no, hang on, stop. What's actually going on? What's in my head? Then I can catch it out. And then I can just be like, okay, I want something. So I have decided that I'm not going to have anything until I'm having dinner in 3 hours. I'm not going to starve to death. It's cool, brain. I know what you're doing. You're trying to save me from having these feelings of restlessness or feelings of boredom or whatever it could be for you. Many people are anxious or just feeling stressed after work. They need some time to just relax, and obviously need to eat a cake at the same time, because you can't just relax, because that is a neural pathway that you probably have practiced many times. So until you have deconditioned this neural pathway, you're probably going to feel a bit anxious and agitated when you're not doing it, and that's okay. Because just think about it. What is actually so bad about having a craving? We're sitting there, we're having a thought, and we feel uncomfortable. I get this little knot in my belly maybe, or I know for me, this sounds silly because I'm not a dog, but I actually start salivating. I start salivating, just very subtle thing that happens, and it doesn't go on for very long, but it just pops up there, as in I have that thought, I want something, and then I start salivating, and then it's over. And that's how quick it goes. But when I start paying attention to it, I notice what is happening. So if I either notice that I have that thought, or I notice that I just start salivating for no reason at all, I know that I'm having a craving now. And I'm just exploring that. I'm sitting with it, I'm accepting that I have it, and then I focus on my body, and I'm just thinking, okay, how does this feel in my body? What is the problem? And you can just try and feel if you have some tension somewhere or what's going on. For me, it's actually mostly in my brain, and I think that is because I'm restless and I just need to do something. So it's like I want to keep my brain busy. So when I'm catching my cravings out, they disappear almost instantly, which is very interesting. Some people can sit with their cravings for 10 minutes and they're still there. So it totally depends on you and how you obviously react, but usually they don't go on for too long. They might come back again later, but then you can just do the same thing. So I'm sitting there and I am actually prepared to feel uncomfortable, because after all, this is just a feeling, and feelings can't actually hurt us. So I'm just accepting that it is there, and that's it. So again, if you are resisting it, you will notice that you have tension in your body, or you feel resistant, you feel like life is not fair, and you're not happy about the situation at all. Allowing the craving, on the other hand, might make you feel uncomfortable to start with, but it feels like, yeah, I'm actually in control here. I can do this. And I can welcome the uncomfortable feelings that come with it, and it's fine. And if you want to, you can just write it down. What are you thinking? What are you feeling? And how does it feel in your body? That will also help you to watch yourself from the outside and see what's actually going on. So that would put some distance between you and the craving. So it's almost like you're taking a step back and you're just watching yourself sitting there and struggling with these cravings. And that actually helps a lot. And that is thanks to our prefrontal cortex that we actually are able to do that, because no other animal on this planet can do that. So that's pretty cool. So again, just when you get the craving, notice what you're thinking. That's the first thing. The second thing, notice if there is something else going on, like for me is salivating. And then thirdly, just feel, where in the body do I feel this? And be okay with that. Be okay with feeling those feelings, because that is what we're trying to escape. We're trying to escape from feeling bad. And when we do that, when we're eating something, we will dull our emotions, and we will keep ourselves busy by actually eating at the same time. So we're eating to distract ourselves from our thoughts, and then we're dulling our emotions with the food. So it's kind of twofold that way as well. So just be someone who's willing to feel these emotions. And as I said yesterday, once you have practiced this neural pathway enough times, you see the food, you get the craving, and you just sit there and you're okay with it. And you do that over and over again, this pathway is going to get stronger and stronger. And the few times you use the old neural pathways, the more that one is going to go through something that is called pruning. So it will be smaller, it will pretty much grow over, and it will always be there, but it won't be as strong. And then this new behavior is going to be your go-to. It's going to be automated and sent down to the reptilian brain, which will automate the whole process. And voila, you are cravings free pretty much, or they will still pop up, but you're so used to it now that you won't really notice them. They are there, but your automatic response will be to just allow it, and you don't have to do anything. So in the beginning, it will be really hard work, but then as time goes on, it's going to be easy. And when you get to there, when you genuinely feel like you don't have to put that energy in, then that is quite an amazing feeling. I never really thought that I could experience that. I didn't think there was a cure for having cravings, but I have found it, and I think this works for pretty much anyone. I haven't worked with anyone who is heavily addicted, like an alcoholic, but a sugarholic, or someone who's so addicted that it can't really have another life outside of eating. So just bear that in mind. But those clients that I have had, have pretty much all of them have had very similar cravings to me. Some of them to sugar, and some of them have already been off sugar for a while, but they're now addicted to sweeteners instead. And it's the same sort of behavior. And it has worked really, really well. What I will tell you is that you will notice a shift. In the beginning, there will probably be a lot of mixed emotions. It will be mixed between resisting and allowing. And that's going to be exhausting. But if you can just keep practicing, because it takes a while, you can't expect to be an expert at doing this straight away. And it's really hard to explain how to do it. But I haven't seen anyone fail, anyone who's actually tried, failing at doing this so far. And then you will get to a stage when this starts to feel okay, like this is what I'm doing, and you feel comfortable with the process. But then you're still having this need for dopamine in your brain. So even though the cravings aren't as strong or as frequent, your life might start feeling really, really dull and boring for a while. So one of my most recent clients, he came back to me, I think 3 sessions in a row, and he told me that I don't recognize myself, and I'm just picking a fight with my wife over absolutely nothing, and I'm usually happy, and now I'm just not. And he just came back and told me this every time. And then we went to a game and we were watching it, and I didn't have anything, and I didn't really enjoy it at all. And that's because of this neural pathway. So his brain obviously had the neural pathway for watching the game and getting a soda and whatever food would go with that. And that is one item that he has to actually keep doing to get rid of the food part and get the other one going on its own and just enjoying it. Or sometimes, unfortunately, we do things that involve food, but we wouldn't enjoy those events without food. And in this case, just give that event up. It's not worth trying to force yourself. But if you're unsure, keep doing it until you got past this. So this took maybe 3.5 weeks. And then I almost started, I'm always a little bit nervous that my clients are going to quit. So I was trying to convince them that please trust the process. This is normal. This is what's going to happen. It's going to feel like everything is shit for a while, but just, hang in there because you're doing the right thing. And then he just came back to me and he said, I was to a family dinner last weekend, and there were like all these desserts there, and I didn't actually want any of them, and I felt repulsed by even looking at them, and that was just like light bulb moment. And I felt like I was so happy for him that he had finally just broken through, and since then he doesn't have any cravings pretty much. Sometimes he has a little craving for something, most likely when he hasn't sleeping well, but they are never that strong that he's even thinking about giving in. So once you've crossed this barrier, when you actually know how to do it, and when you have restored the dopamine levels in your brain to react to normal events. So I think I gave you the example that a steak would give you a dopamine hit of 4 and a cake of 8, so that the brain will think that is pretty much twice as important. So now when you're having a steak, you don't really enjoy it because you don't get that dopamine hit. It's so low compared to what you used to that you don't really fancy normal food anymore. You just want the real big hits. But once you have adjusted it back, you will start enjoying all sorts of things in life that you couldn't enjoy before because everything was around food. Food is the thing that will trigger your dopamine response and it will make you feel satisfied. But now when you don't have that massive dopamine release in your brain all the time, you can start reacting to all the force in your life. You can get the dopamine hit from normal food. You can get dopamine hits from just walking in nature or having a relaxing bath or a massage or accomplishments. Like for me, I think I'm really actually camera shy, but I was starting to get used to it. I really want to share this, and I know that writing is not reaching people, and it's really hard to explain how to do things in writing, and I really like coaching people one-to-one and in group settings. So this is the next best thing. So if I can talk to people on camera, surely I can appear on camera. But I actually feel really, really good when people are coming back to me and they say that I've actually had these results, and that gives me my dopamine hit. I just feel like, yes, I did it again. I helped someone to actually get over this. So I'm hoping that you find this useful and not too confusing, because it is a little bit hard to explain how to go through this. But anyway, that's pretty much everything I have to say today. So just start paying attention to what's going on up here and how you feel in your body when you have those cravings, and just let them be there. So thank you very much for watching. I hope you have enjoyed it, and I will be back tomorrow with a new topic, which I will post shortly after closing this one off. So if you have any questions, then better post them right now, otherwise I will close this down in just a few seconds. And thank you so much for joining me, Camille. Today you were the only one. There are new people every day, so that's pretty cool that I'm actually reaching people. So I was going to say good evening, but it's actually morning in the UK, so have a good day, and hopefully I will see you tomorrow. Take care.